Hello, 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 Guggenheim friends. I'm making this video just as a reflective piece for my fellowship application, um, and also just to help me with the essay portion. So I just wanted to set it up like I'm teaching and see what flows from my heart. All right. So Peggy Guggenheim, she was an awesome art collector, and I hope that if I got to if I would have gotten to meet her in person, that she would have loved my passion for art. And I love her passion for art as well. And I could only imagine the conversations that I would have with her. So I'm honored just to be able to apply for this program. So thankful that you guys are open for mid-career applicants. Thank you so much. All right, so this is a little bit about my project and the research that I'm hoping to do. So if we look at it like a call to action, um, well, let me give you my overall view of my research. The overall view of my research is to do research in the field of autism and art therapy, most specifically related to the concepts of identity. I would also like to use virtual reality as a media as well. So there are some challenges, and I hope to help challenge those challenges, so to speak, to dispel the myths about autism through art and encouraging neurodiversity in the field of art. So the more passionate we get our kids who have autism um, into the field of arts, the more diverse our museums will be. Hoped outcomes, at an individual level, enriching the lives of teens with autism through art therapy practices, and educating the public through gallery space. All right, so I have a couple driving questions. And the driving questions I have are, how can self-portraits help teens with autism reflect on their own identity? And how can we use augmentative and virtual reality to learn more about our identity and to express ourselves more? I just realized I'm talking really fast. When I teach, I really don't talk that fast, but I guess I'm a little nervous. All right, so qualitative research. This would definitely be qualitative research. I would share my procedural as well. I would include a range of students, including students who are considered neurotypical. I'm looking for patterns and themes within artwork, storytelling, and changing lives. I recently heard a talk, and I just love the term radical optimism. And the talk was by Kathy and Christina, and they're really inspirational. All right, the theoretical framework that I would like to focus on is James Marcia's work on identity. He says there are 4 quadrants that teens can approach identity. And at the end of those quadrants are commitment and crisis. And I like to look at crisis also as an opportunity. So the 4 quadrants are identity achievement, meaning identity has been challenged and commitments made, but open to new ideas. Identity foreclosure, acceptance of identity and not open to any exploration of alternatives. And then identity moratorium is when a person is in the process of challenging identity, actively exploring self and identity. And then we have identity diffusion, in which there is no exploration or commitment to identity at this point. All right, so what I would like to do is stretch James Marcia's theory a little bit more. And so what I'm encouraging my students to do, I'm teaching middle school this year. What I'm encouraging my students to do is to create a self-portrait for every quadrant. And I'm not going to ask my students to do something that I'm not willing to do either. And I've been reflecting on my identity as a teacher. So I'm looking at a specific role of my identity, or part of my identity is being a teacher. So I'm reflecting on how that's changed since the pandemic, and in new roles and new ways of teaching and learning that I'm exploring. So I'm going to be doing this project as well. All right, so I'm going to ask my students the symbols of self. What symbols do our students use to represent self? For my project, I'm going to include a green apple to represent my teacher self, green for growth. And I love apples. And so I'm going to carry on a green apple in each quadrant. Here's an example. I've been really like inspired by a lot of children's book artists and illustrators. So I tried to make mine kind of like children's booky collage. And so this is one of mine. I started off with a sketch or a doodle, and so like I love the Wizard of Oz. So we have a hat tip to the Wizard of Oz. And then when I was drawing the boots, of course, I thought of the Nancy Sinatra song, "These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do." Anyway, so I occasionally break out into song. Um and so and then I imagined like the schoolhouse crushing me. And so this, relating back to Marcia, is identity foreclosure. Trying to be or fit into something that is not really who I am as a teacher, right? So I'm like peeking out the window, and you see my arms are stretched. I'm welcoming students, but I'm also kind of flattened by that schoolhouse. And then you see that green apple, it's kind of tattered, and you see a whirlwind. So that's kind of metaphorical for identity foreclosure. And I'm going to do all of the quadrants as well. And then I put it through different filters to share with kids how filters can also influence, and then changing those perspectives based on our filter. A lot of times my sweet husband says that I have like rose colored glasses. And so I wanted to change up the filters to share. Yes, I probably do have rose colored glasses. But anyways, that radical optimism that I love. All right, so composition and framing. How do media choice affect composition? For example, collage. Are we doing digital glitching, data bending? Are we going to be using the Oculus and the virtual reality lab? So how does media affect the composition of your piece? How are my students' artworks composed? I'm going to be looking at sense of space and identity. I'm also going to be looking at framing, the sense of framing as a block or an emphasis, or both. And how do we frame ourselves or the lack thereof? Another fun project that we've been doing is remixing the Renaissance. And this is one of my remixes. I love to glitch. That's my latest jam. And so I've been doing a lot of glitch art. And so I glitched out the Mona Lisa. And I'm like, hey, this is fun. So I decided to have my students glitch or remix the Renaissance. And so they're learning various pieces of the Renaissance. So they're learning their art history, but they're making it their own and they're interacting with the art. All right, and there we have beautiful Michelangelo. And so that's another example. Boop, boop, doop, boop, boop. Oh, I glitched out the Guggenheim. I forgot to tell you. So that's the Guggenheim. Glitchy Guggenheim. And so that brings us back to our research. Students as co researchers. So I'm inviting my students in for self reflection and evaluation. So I'm teaching a lot of my classes sort of like teaching a club. I want my students to lead a lot. I'm going to be facilitating that learning. I am going to be soaking in their ideas like a big sponge. Also, I want to get my students' input to the next stages of research. And of course, allow room for mistakes and seeing them as opportunities for growth. I think it was Bob Ross who said, there's no mistakes, only happy accidents. All right, so that was my last slide, and that was my next lesson plan. All right. Well, thank you for your time and consideration, and I hope you have a wonderful day. This process, even if I didn't get it, I'm thankful for the process. And as an art teacher, I can share this process with my lovely students. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye. Do, 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 do.